In the early 1990s, the United Nations unveiled Agenda 21, a sweeping action plan for sustainable development. Decades later, it evolved into Agenda 2030, with 17 global goals to fight poverty, protect the planet, and promote equality. On the surface, these sound harmless, even noble. But critics warn there's something else entirely, a blueprint for global governance, depopulation, and control over every aspect of our lives. So are these UN agendas a roadmap for a better world, or an elitist vision for reshaping humanity? Today on Elitology, we uncover the truth behind Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. Adopted in 1992 at the Rio Earth Summit, Agenda 21 was a non-binding UN plan encouraging countries to embrace sustainable development. It covered land use, energy, agriculture, and population. Supporters called it a guide to balance human needs with environmental protection. But the language about population stabilization and resource management set off alarm bells. To critics, it sounded less like guidance and more like population control. In 2015, the UN replaced Agenda 21 with Agenda 2030, also called Sustainable Development Goals. These 17 goals include ending poverty, achieving gender equality, expanding clean energy, and combating climate change. Again, the goals seem positive. But critics ask, how do you enforce them globally without some kind of world government? And what happens when sustainability becomes a justification for restrictions on food, travel, property, or even family size? The guidestones we just explored called for humanity under 500 million. While Agenda 2030 doesn't mention such numbers, some elites have echoed similar concerns. Billionaires, scientists, and technocrats often talk about carrying capacity and sustainable populations. To critics, it all points to one message: you are the problem. Humanity itself is framed as a burden, a swarm of useless eaters consuming too many resources. One Agenda 2030 related concept is the 15-minute city, urban planning, where everything you need, work, shops, healthcare, recreation, is within a 15-minute walk or bike ride. Supporters say it reduces pollution, traffic, and improves health. But critics argue it's a step toward control, restricting travel, keeping people in zones, and tracking movement under the guise of convenience. The fear is that what begins as green planning could become a system of soft lockdowns where you're punished for leaving your zone too often or dependent on digital passes for mobility. Enter Yuval Noah Harari, historian, author, and advisor to the World Economic Forum. Known for books like Sapiens and Homo Deus, Harari speaks openly about the future of humanity. He has warned of a coming era where governments and corporations have the power to hack humans. He's also spoken about surveillance, biotechnology, and the end of free will as elites gain tools to manipulate behavior. Critics see him as the intellectual voice of the technocratic elite, the man who says the quiet part out loud. Supporters argue he's just describing possibilities, not advocating them. But the question remains, when Harari talks about elites shaping the future of humanity, who exactly is he speaking for? So is Agenda 21, or Agenda 2030 just a harmless sustainability plan? Or a soft rollout of global control? Fact, both were real UN agendas, adopted and promoted worldwide. Fact, their goals are non-binding, but governments and corporations now integrate them into policy and planning. Concern. Many of the goals, climate control, urban planning, surveillance, sustainable consumption can easily slide into restriction, monitoring, and enforcement. The language is intentionally vague. Sustainable cities sounds noble, but does it mean freedom or controlled zones? Responsible consumption sounds reasonable, but does it mean rationing food? As of now, Earth's population is 8 billion. That's over 16 times the number inscribed on the Georgia Guidestones. Elites say that we can't sustain this forever, but who gets to decide how many people should live? And what methods would they use to reach that number? Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 show us two sides of the same coin, a vision of a better world and the possibility of global control. 15-minute cities promise convenience, but may become containment. And voices like Yuval Noah Harari remind us that technology now gives elites the power to reshape humanity itself. The question is, are we moving towards sustainability or sleepwalking into a system of control, willingly handing over freedom for the promise of safety? This has been Elitology, where we uncover the hidden world of wealth, power, and mystery. Subscribe and join us as we continue to explore the secrets the elite don't want you to question.